What's up, guys? Dilla here, minimalistsurvival.com. Today I thought I'd share with you the contents of my survival kit. My survival kit's housed in this 1800s brass Hudson's Bay Trading Company tobacco box. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's held up really well. I've had it for going on probably 6-7 years. Brass won't rust. It's pretty much non-corrosive. It'll oxidize a little bit and change color, but it really won't deteriorate, which is one of the reasons I picked it. Plus, being all metal, it protects the contents very well. It's really taken a beating and held up very, very nicely. It's airtight, watertight. It's taken a few swims, and my contents have always stayed dry, so it's definitely been trail approved here. One of the really cool things about this case is the fact that it has a magnifying glass lens built into the lid, so when the sun's shining, you use that to start the fire. It's really easy. You don't have to use up any of your matches or use a ferro rod or whatever you might usually use. Works really well. You can kind of save fuel by using that whenever you have the opportunity. It's kind of nice, kind of neat. I also pack in my kit a little bit of cotton soaked in Vaseline. I really only use the tinder as a last resort. I usually try to find some fat wood or scrape some inner bark off of cedar or whatever you might find, some dried grass or something in the field. I really only use the cotton as a last resort if I can't, find some pitch or anything like that on the trail. This stuff works amazingly well and is very inexpensive to make. Works every time. I have your traditional ferro rod here. Works awesome. You all know it. Nothing new there. This one's rather large. I just find them easier to handle, the larger ones, than the smaller they get, the harder they are to actually use. This still doesn't weigh much. I don't mind the extra weight, and plus I'll get about a zillion strikes out of this thing before I need to replace it. I use P38 can opener as a striker. Works really well as a striker, and plus, when you find a can of chili out in the woods, you'll be all set to go with your can opener. Kind of nice. A little bit of painkillers, whether you got ibuprofen, Tylenol, Advil, whatever you might have, aspirin, something. I always find if someone's going to sprain their ankle on the trail, it's good to have something to give them, try to alleviate that pain a little bit. Definitely something I recommend having. This is my Ready Edge knife sharpener. It's your typical carbide bladed drag knife sharpener, ceramic, so you can hone on the backside. Works really well. Really lightweight, doesn't take up any space. I think it's better to have this out on the trail than to try to find a rock to sharpen your Becker with. And it also has a groove here for sharpening hooks. Here's a fishing kit that I've fashioned. Just your typical necessities. It's got 20-pound test, braided line, few hooks, swivels, some sinkers. Typical stuff that you might find in an emergency fishing kit. Compass. This is a compass out of a pair of navigation binoculars. It's a really nice compass. It's better than the cheap little Chinese button compasses that you find in a lot of inexpensive survival gear stuff. You can get these. I actually ordered this one from a company. You can go through Fujinon or any of the bigger binocular makers, Steiner, those guys, and you can actually order replacement compasses for them. They're a little more expensive, right around $20, but I find having a trustworthy quality compass is really invaluable. So, pair of tweezers. I opted for the good tweezers. I can't stand monkeying around with the cheap, junky tweezers you get in most little first aid kits and stuff. Seems that they're mostly kind of a pain in the rear. They don't really work very well. I think they're more of a hassle than it's worth. Having a good pair of tweezers, I think, is definitely a good idea. Safety pin. We all know how that works. I like to carry a suture needle. I figured this suture needle coupled with this 20-pound test braided line here would do a nice job of stitching someone up had I had no other option. I'd really hate to do it. I'd hate to give myself stitches, but I guess if it's either bleed out or stitch up, I'm stitching up. Straight needle here. Again, this 20-pound test is a great, I keep going back to it, it's a great product to have. If you rip anything, your tent, any materials, your pants or shoes or whatever you might need to repair in the field, having all that line and a good needle, it's a forged stainless needle, having all that stuff on hand is definitely a bonus. That and I always keep a fresh razor blade on hand, a lot sharper than you can ever get your pocket knife. And if you have to cut into somebody or clean something up or need a really, really sharp edge, having a razor blade is definitely, there's no substitute, I should say, for a good sharp blade. So that kind of covers what goes in my survival kit. It's pretty straightforward, pretty basic, not a lot of fluff there, just really the necessities. It's not one of those survival kits that you just pack around and never get into. Seems like every time I go outside I end up getting into here for something. I always use it, I'm always getting into it. It's a great box, I really like it, I really enjoy it. Hope you've enjoyed my video, hope maybe you could take something from it. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. Jay Dilla, minimalistsurvival.com.